Hello, everyone. I am ZHAO Chuang. Let's draw the hind limbs of Tyrannotitan. In this drawing, we will focus on the foot. The feet of Tyrannotitan possessed a characteristic. Although it belonged to the Gigantosaurini tribe, the same as Meraxis, what dramatically distinguished it from the latter was that its second toe, that is, the innermost of the three weight-bearing toes, had a very short nail. Meraxis, in contrast, had a very large second toenail, a bit like that of Dromaeosaurus. The fossil of Tyrannotitan happened to be found with this part, showing a tiny size, a bit like a chicken claw. We should pay attention to this when drawing. Besides, when drawing, we should first be aware of its internal bone proportions, such as the proportions between phalanges and the positions and numbers of the phalanges. Only an accurate skeletal structure can help us to draw its appearance more intact. In addition, we should note subtle details. For instance, this dinosaur's feet might have large scales on the surface. When drawing, we may use light and shadow to slightly show the color and texture of these large scales. Now, let's get started. Begin with its skeletal structure. We first use dotted lines to show its internal bones. Its metatarsus comes first, which is equivalent to the human sole. You can see that its metatarsus comprises 3 bones. Then, we draw the middle functional toe down below these 3 bones. This toe has 3 phalanges and a claw. This is its third toe. On the left is its second toe, which has 2 phalanges and a claw. The claw of the second toe is known to be relatively small. The last toe has 4 phalanges and a claw at the end, so there are 5 sections, including the claw. The first toe's metatarsal bone has degenerated, with only 1 phalanx and a tiny claw. In this way, we can restore the appearance based on the skeleton. First, draw the covering skin of the instep. Then, we come to the first toe with only 1 bone, and its second toe, which is relatively chubby. The claw should have been more prominent than the fossil when it was alive because there was a keratinous sheath outside. What comes after is its third toe. And this is the fourth toe. Then, let's add its claws. The ends of the claws don't need to be particularly sharp because carnivorous dinosaurs would wear this part to be blunt when walking. Then, we move to draw some large scales on the back of its toes, resembling those of many modern birds. These scales would become smaller and more densely arranged as they got closer to the base of the toes and gradually disappeared. The same is true for the first toe. After drawing these groups of lines, let's add the edges of each scale. Every scale was in a shape close to a trapezoid. There was also a row of long scales on its metatarsal bones, that is, on the instep. This set of scales also gradually became smaller and denser toward both ends and then slowly disappeared. Some small wrinkles would appear near these large scales as they were relatively hard, and the surrounding skin would move slightly between the gaps of each scale. Thus, wrinkles would form on these parts. Then, let's draw some shadings to make these structures look more three-dimensional. On the claws, we can first outline the shape of the highlights, and slightly darken the area around them to present that these claws are dark-colored. We do the same to this small claw. This is also the case for large scales on the instep. We can leave a group of highlights on the left side, and slightly show the local color of these scales. We can use gentle strokes for those larger scales to make their color relatively darker. Then, on the left side, let's also draw some darker spots to make the surface look smooth and reflective. Let's draw shadows in the gaps between the scales to make them arranged like layered tiles. Around these scales, we can use some lines to present the texture of the surrounding skin. Then the same applies here. Draw some dark spots above this claw, leaving the left side uncolored for the highlights, where the light directly hits the object. We only need to show the dark area above this claw. Refine the shapes of these large scales. Then, draw more lines on the right side of these large scales to show the skin texture. Then, appropriately add some smaller scales next to these large ones. Let's also slightly show the scales of the first toe. Add more folds to the foot. Then, let's improve the drawing with more details. And make the highlights more pronounced. Then, slightly cast some shadows underneath the folds to embellish the toes. Finally, slightly refine the outline. Good. Like this, we've finished drawing the hind limb of Tyrannotitan.